Hey there, Balanced Lady Bosses. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you all today because it's all about my transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. Now, this is a hot topic right now because many persons have made that transition during the pandemic, either because they had to because they lost their jobs or they realized that they really didn't like what they were doing or they wanted to try something new. They wanted to actually live out their passion or their dream. And so you found that there were several persons that I interacted with directly during the pandemic that talked about what that meant to them, actually being able to step into a place of owning a business, developing a business. And for other persons that I talked to, it was more about, I want to fully explore my side hustle. I want to take it on and see whether or not this is something that I would enjoy doing. Sometimes those persons may have taken on the side hustle and it became their new gig. And for other persons, they just kept it as a side hustle. Then you had those who stepped out of corporate altogether and decided that they were going into the thing full time, right? And don't get me wrong, you also had persons who may have tried it and didn't like it and decided, this is not for me. So today I want to talk with you all about the different flavors of my experience and hopefully give you some tips that will help with guiding you in the direction that you want to take. If you are considering entrepreneurship, whether as a full time or side hustle, I think this podcast is going to really help you out because you know how it is. I keep it real. I'm going to give you all the tea. I got my tea right here. I'm going to give you all the information and the insights, the mistakes not to make, or the things that worked or didn't work because I think it's important. I think when people talk about living a life of their dreams or even chasing those dreams, we don't talk honestly enough about the experiences that you may end up having as a part of that process. And that's actually where the learning comes in. When everything looks bright and rosy and it's so unrealistic, right? So, buckle down, get your notebooks, and we're going to have a conversation today. We're going to talk about the pivot, all right? And the pivot is something that I'm embracing and I'm fully embracing it, and I want to share my steps with you, and hopefully, this will be helpful. So I thought I'd break it down in three simple areas. And these are the three things that I feel you should focus on. Because if you get these three things right, then whether it is you're passionate about doing a podcast or having online courses or writing books, whatever it is that is your passion, right? These three things, you do them well and you must succeed. And when I say you do them well, you must succeed, I'm literally talking about you must succeed. All right? Okay, so first thing that we're going to talk about is the plan. All right, now I know you may say, Lord, Stacey, you're coming with a plan. Everybody talks about a plan. But no, guys, for real. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A vision without a plan is just a great idea. All right. So here is the deal. I'm also a strategist. Like that's literally what I do. I help people to really clarify their vision and then bring that vision to life. And so as a strategist who works both with individuals and with companies, it would really be just out of character and away from my values if my first thing was not about the plan. Right? So the first key element in the plan is our intention because our intention creates our reality. I talk to you guys about that all the time. Our intention creates our reality. So if your reality right now is popped down, you actually have everything to do with that. If your reality right now is amazing, you also have everything to do with that. So if you are getting ready to make this significant pivot where you are letting go of the security, right? And I put in quotes around that security of having a paycheck come in from somebody else's idea that you are working, and you want to stay attached to that security, then, the planning part may not be a big deal for you. But if it is that you are willing to let go of the status quo, of the things that we've been conditioned to think we must have or must do in order to achieve stability, achieve financial wealth, achieve success, then you definitely want to make sure that you start off with that intention to create the reality that you want. And intent, when I say with the plan, the first place to begin is around intention. I'm not taking that lightly, okay? What I mean is that your mind creates your reality. And many times the thoughts that we see ourselves having are the experience that we end up experiencing. So you may have a desire to be an entrepreneur. You may have a desire to be killing it and doing the things that you love all the time. But what are your thoughts actually thinking? What are the things that are going through your mind on a consistent basis? So the first part of the plan is to really get clear on what your intention is. And my intention was really about impacting people that I interact with, primarily women, as well as individuals in business who are seeking to transform to do business online or use technology to help them build their companies, right? So I was really clear about who I want to help, right? And then the next thing was really clear on what impact I wanted to have on me. Because yes, I have a servant spirit. I've done quite a bit of service work. And at the same time, I like nice things. I think I said it before, I really like nice things. And so in order for me to be able to get the nice things, I have to be able to afford the nice things. And so financial wealth is a huge dream of mine. And that's largely because I like nice things and I like nice experiences. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to have nice things and nice experiences. Pretty simple. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to be clear on your intention, and that really helps to set the tone for the vision that you are going to create. I find that sometimes we jump into visioning, and when you do that, you're jumping in with desires. You're not really jumping in with the intention that you're trying to create. And I know you may think it's a subtle difference, guys, because it is. It may even seem a little bit like, isn't that the same thing? But it actually is not. Your intention is not the same thing as your vision. I recommend using your intention to curate your vision, because sometimes we put up things on vision boards because yes, they sound good and we like to have that and we want that, but the intention that we have behind it doesn't actually serve its manifestation. I'll give you an example, right, in the same context. So let's say that you want to become an entrepreneur. And the truth of the matter is that when you think about entrepreneurship, it's really just because you want to let go of the job, you can't stand your boss, and you want to make some big money. Okay? So on your vision board, you want some big money. So you put up there big money and you have pictures of cash falling from the sky, and you have big house and big car and all the things, right? But when you think about what is your intention behind acquiring those things, it's not for the things, but that's what's on your board. What you actually are seeking is fulfillment. You're seeking joy. You're seeking satisfaction. You're seeking to feel good and fulfilled in the work that you're doing. And you're seeking to do so in a way that will have people giving you their money in exchange for whatever you're bringing. So your vision board does need to include the intention that you have behind it. Find a word that says freedom and put that freedom up on the board as well. Okay? So the first thing in the plan is really the intention, and then following the intention is the vision. Now, once you have those things kind of worked out, then the next thing you want to do is you actually want to move into determining, well, what am I willing to give up, or willing to risk, willing to sacrifice in order to create this vision that I have put on paper. And the reason why you want to do that, guys, is not to kill the dream, because I know that sometimes when persons invite you to step into a space of defining more clearly the things that you're not maybe comfortable with, you think, oh, but isn't that going to kill my dream? No, that's not going to kill your dream if your dream is your dream, right? What it's going to do is it's going to test the thinking that you have around what you're trying to create, which is important. And it's also important to recognize where you have risk aversion, because when you're in the space where you're feeling the pressure, like, pressure comes from where you don't feel so good about something, you're risk averse. Risk averse means I have a fear around this particular thing. And when you have that fear, what that then will produce is a feeling like you have to pull back. Okay? So it's important to identify where you don't think you're going to feel comfortable doing certain things, where you might be feeling a little bit risk averse, because once you identify it, then you'll be able to address the fear. Because guess what's going to happen? If you don't identify it, when you're on the journey now, you're going to start experiencing all of these doubt thoughts, and you would not have given them sufficient attention before they show up. So then you don't have a strategy for how to defeat them. Okay? So if you are like me, right? If you're anything like me, I had a risk aversion to taking away the life that I had been building for my kids. I was not willing to put my kids in a certain type of school, or have them not have experiences with their family, or not have experiences that include me. I wasn't willing to sacrifice those things in order to chase my dream. And that was important because I want to maintain a certain level of experience and memory making with my kids. What did that equate to? It equated to, well, I need to make sure that I can guarantee that I have a certain level of income while I'm out here. When I say income, it could be revenue, but while I'm out here, I need to make sure that I have a certain amount of money available to fund my existing life, which includes several children, right? So I had that risk aversion. I knew that if I had to be worried about going to grocery store, or going, even for celebrating a birthday, taking them to a restaurant, traveling for summer, if I had to be putting those things on the back burner, it just wouldn't feel good to me. And when I'm in a space where it doesn't feel good, I am not able to attract and create from a place that gives me the best result. I might be able to push through and stress it out, and yeah man, we can go hard and make it happen, but it doesn't feel good to me. And since I am really all about being the balanced lady boss, and carrying less stress and less toxic energy inside my body, since I'm about that life and not into the space of staying in miserableness, right? Then I knew that I would want to pay attention to the things that made me feel good while I was working. Does that make sense, guys? I hope it makes sense. I'm just going to take a sip of my tea. Okay. So as a part of your plan to succeed, plan, that's what I call it. First area of focus is your plan to succeed. You have your intention, you have your vision, and now you know what your risk aversion is, right? Or your risks are. You know what the risk areas are. And the entire reason why I'm talking to you about these risks is so that you can identify where your feel good is. Okay? Because for me, I'm clear that when you feel good, you attract amazing opportunities, you generate amazing results. It just overall makes you feel better, right? The next thing that you want to do is you want to document this plan. So I know that you may be out there journaling, right? And you may have your vision board. And if you don't have these things, then I highly recommend that you create a practice that allows you to create them. One other area that is really important is to actually put this thing down on some kind of plan. So I recommend that you identify what your first year or your first 6 months or even your first 3 months is going to look like on this new entrepreneur journey. Write it down. And I'm not saying that there's a science to it, but there actually is a science to it now that I think about it. Persons who write down their vision are actually over 90% more likely to achieve it, scientifically proven. So write the vision, make it plain, okay? So for me, the path that I took with stepping into entrepreneurship served both the risk aversion and the planning. I decided to step away from corporate using a sabbatical. And what a sabbatical is, typically, a sabbatical is where you negotiate with your current employer around keeping your job for you while you go off and do whatever it is you want to do on your sabbatical. So for me, when I was stepping into entrepreneurship, I knew what my risk issue was. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to build a plan to step into entrepreneurship using a sabbatical. So I came up with a sabbatical success plan. And that was me writing down what I wanted to do. And I was going to do it in 3 to 4 months. I know you may think I'm crazy. But first things first, I knew that I wanted to make sure that I could see clearly what I was creating. And it was a great exercise to go through. To build my plan, I started with a mind map. And all a mind map is where you write down your core idea. Let me draw it for you, right? You write down your core idea on a piece of paper. You put it in the middle. And you can even put a letter to it. Like, let's say, for example, it's entrepreneurship plan. So I'm putting down EP in the middle of my paper. I put a circle around it. And then I'm going to draw little lines coming off of my EP. And I'm going to start writing on, at the end of those lines, the things that are important to me. So I'm mapping out what is in my head onto paper. So the first thing I'm going to write down is I'm going to write down what I really want to experience. So my intention, what am I trying to create? So I want to create value for women and for business owners. And so it's value for people, right? And then I'm going to put another line that tells me which people, okay? Individuals and business owners. And then another thing that I want to make sure that I'm doing is I want to be financially wealthy. So what does financial wealth look like? Oh, it looks like freedom. So instead of putting financially wealthy, I put financial freedom and wealth. Okay. And then after that, I find, well, what does that mean to me? What does that financial, well, it means that I have to be making a certain amount of money every year. So I draw another little line and I put the amount of money that I want to be making, while I am on this journey so that I can feel like I'm building that freedom. And what else do I want to make sure? Well, I want to maintain my lifestyle. So I'm going to write down on, another line coming from financial freedom lifestyle. So it's gonna kind of start breaking out. And if you're ever able to watch the YouTube video, guys, you'll see this is what your mind map looks like. You have a general idea in the middle and the things that will make you feel like it's successful. You can actually stop here and make that be your plan if you want. Stacy, on the other hand, is going to pull up Canva or PowerPoint or Google Slides, and she's going to make a pretty one-page diagram that is going to be the plan. Okay, and it's not a big plan, guys. Like literally, I had 3 boxes on my plan. There was 1 box about negotiating with my employer for sabbatical, and basically this is what it meant. If I had a yes or no, if they said yes, you could do the sabbatical, then great, I would negotiate about what I want that to look like. If they said no, then great, because I already made up my mind that I'm doing this. But at least now I know that I don't have that as an option. I don't have being able to go back into a job in the event that I don't like this as an option. And so I can use that to my advantage in my planning. It didn't mean that it was not going to be a plan. Okay? So I had that piece of it, like how do I work through the negotiations with a company to actually do a sabbatical. Then the next stage was, okay, well, what do I actually want to build while I am testing out this entrepreneur pivot? What do I want to build? And then the third thing was, after I have built what is going to be my new plan between being an entrepreneur and serving clients that I had in the corporate world. So I had those 3 big buckets, and in there was the money thing, in there was the joy and the freedom thing, because I feel that sometimes when we're planning our success, we tend to focus on the more, the doing side of things and the things you want, like I want a car, I want a nice office, I want new laptops, and you're not really focusing on the things that those tangible items give you in terms of feeling and experience, etc. So you're gonna have your plan, your actual documented plan. It can be just a simple mind map, or you can make it into a pretty presentation like I did. Whichever way it works, work it, okay? And then the last thing in the plan is you want to determine where your nest egg is going to come from. I remember the first time I got a consult from a financial advisor, and they talked to me about nest eggs, and they talked to me about, really securing myself and my financial future, largely because I started to having a family early. And so with children, you're always going to get, you should have 6 months savings in the bank. You should have another something over there in your IRA or your 401k, or if you're in the Caribbean, your pension plan. I'd get all of that advice, and I just was never able to do it because the demands of having the many children that I had, and the poor financial structure that I had in my life at the time didn't really lend itself to me keeping those things at play, right? And so one of the things that I researched, largely because I got this advice from other entrepreneurs, like either they started out as entrepreneurs or they were in corporate and they pivoted. Every last one of them gave me this piece of advice, whether they did it or not. Make sure you have a nest egg. And that nest egg can either be money that you have put down, money that somebody else put down for you, or money that you know is available for you to use. Because when you don't have a nest egg, it not only increases your stress levels, but it also makes it very difficult for you to take advantage of some things that you may want to have to pay for during the course of becoming an entrepreneur. For some people, like myself, your job becomes the nest egg. And that's why a lot of persons sometimes take on a side hustle, because they want to build something small slowly and use the money from work to fund it. I did that for a while. Like, I literally would take money from work and I would be putting it into things that I'd have things that I would charge to credit cards and then have to pay off the credit card. But I did that for a while in the side hustle. Coming into the actual step away from corporate to go entrepreneur full-time, I took a different approach. This time I wanted to make sure that I had actual cash available. And so I had seed funding through a partner that allowed for the setup of this nest egg. Because otherwise, I can tell him my head would have hurt me, because when I know me done some risk averse already, I like nice things. I like nice things. I like my nice life, and I don't want to be chasing my dream and not experiencing that. And I do not buy into this argument that it has to look like that. You'll hear people talk about all the time, oh, you have to sacrifice and you have to give up. And at one point, I believed that. I don't believe that anymore. I think you can create any experience you want. And so I desired to have a particular experience. What took me a while to step into it was actually the belief that I could create the experience that I wanted. Isn't that a funny thing? I know. All right. So now we're moving on. So you have your plan, and the plan, guys, is the biggest part of this 3-area focus that I'm talking about. Because if you have the plan right, then the other things are more building blocks on top of the plan. So your plan is like your main cornerstone. It's like the foundation, the concrete that you put at the bottom when you are going to build on the top of that. Okay? So you plan to succeed, and you do that by setting an intention, having your vision, recognizing where you might be a little afraid, otherwise known as risk aversion, really coming up with a document that has that plan. So writing the vision down, putting down what it looks like when you have success. This is what would make me feel good. If I made it, if I was able to do these things, it would make me feel really good, right? And then the last piece of that was the nest egg, which we talked about the different ways that you can get the nest egg. Now, the second area that I have been focusing on very intentionally as a part of my shift is community. This tea is really good. Can I just tell you? This tea? Yeah, nice. So community. In community, there's a couple areas that I want to touch on. The first area is making sure that you find yourself a mentor. And I don't mean an informal mentor. I mean a formal mentor. So I actually mentor young career professionals. Typically women, although I have had one male mentee. Yes, I've had one male mentee. But typically each year I attract a certain number of mentees and I work with them on, establishing their vision for themselves and just working towards building a habit of creating the life they want, right? And I recognize that I had never really had an official mentor, even though I've always wanted one, somebody that I highly respect, highly value, and feel that I want to reach out to. Like I ask, would you be my mentor? And this is why. Now, the part about this that's really important is not that I did it. I didn't do it, but if you're going to go in as an entrepreneur, this could be the thing that makes or breaks you. Okay, you can have the plan and all the things, but if you have somebody, and I know they talk about virtual mentors, like somebody that's written a book or whatever, but if you have a person whose success you admire, the person's work ethic, their values that you respect, and you can see your time with this person as supporting the delivery of that vision, it's such a game changer, guys. And so my mentor that I chose, thankfully, because my partner actually was like, why don't you ask her? And I was like, oh, I had not thought about this, but this is someone that I really, really respect a great deal. And she's a successful entrepreneur. She's also been in and out of corporate. I love the level that she's at. She's multi-millionaire level because that's the level I'm trying to get to. And she has the same set of values about mindset and utilizing your mind to create the reality that you want. Like and I share a lot of that. She's also been a coach, just a lot of the similar things that are in my space. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna ask. So I set up a conversation, just a catch-up conversation with her because we hadn't spoken in a little while. And then I asked her, and I will admit I was a bit nervous because, you figure, oh, this person is very busy, big president of this big company over there, so in foreign and, in the United States. And it's just, so I was a little bit nervous and very hopeful because I could see it so clearly how much value she could bring to my life. And she said yes. She was so excited. She was like, I would love to mentor you. Like, oh my gosh, it's such an honor, And the first question she asked, which is point that I'm making about this entire mentor conversation, is why me? Why do you want me to be your mentor? How can I help you? And you need to know the answer to that question going into your mentor conversation. Don't just be like, don't pick somebody just because they're rich. All right? That's not the path. Okay? It has to be clear to you what you feel you can get from a valuable mentor. Have you guys watched Shark Tank? Like literally, aside from them being investors, that's what they're doing. They're mentoring these entrepreneurs. And so for me, I had to really come into the conversation knowing what I wanted. And so I did clarifying conversations with myself before entering into a discussion with this woman. Aside from the fact that I didn't want to waste her time, I also knew that this was going to be her expectation. And there were two primary things that I decided that I really wanted to get mentorship around. One, I wanted to develop the discipline and the alacrity that was required, I feel, to be a successful entrepreneur in a space that was including corporate, because some of my clients are big companies. And so because she had done this work with both individuals as well as companies, I was like, I want to learn what you did to amass the amazing success you did. Because not a lot of people do that. Most entrepreneurs, you find, they pick one lane. And I'm just a multi-lane person. That's just who I am. And a lot of times I used to beat up myself about that. But what I realized is if I could find somebody that did it already and that I really admire, then it could work. So that was the first thing. I wanted to figure out how to navigate this space of doing entrepreneurship in a way that I don't see it being done very commonly. And I wanted to understand how she did that as a woman, as somebody that is connected to corporate and is dealing with big business clients. And then the second thing that I really, really wanted to get clear on, which I was sure that she could help me with was introductions. I wanted to build my network so that I could have opportunities to add value. And I knew I know she has a large network, and I know that in order for me to be engaged in that network in a meaningful way where it could potentially lead to opportunities, I want to be upfront with her. Like, I want to have potential clients in the United States, because that's where my second office is going to be, and I want to get back into doing that. I'm building up my office in Atlanta, and I want to make sure that I'm making the connections in the US so that I can expand my network there. And she was all about that life. She was game. And then she had a couple things that she thought would be helpful for me to learn about. And we agreed, and we have a plan on moving forward. So that she was a key component of my community. Also, key components of the community, family and friends, just letting everybody know that yes, I'm doing this thing and I'm doing it seriously. Sometimes the family, them not necessarily so supportive, and that's okay. It's just that, they need to know that you're in the space of creating and building on your own, or building your own thing. And sometimes, even though they may not be supportive, at least from an accountability standpoint, they're the ones that will say, "But me think you do your own business. What happened to the business?" They'll somehow turn around and inquire, right? Also, you may have family members that are supportive of you and that may have ideas that even you can take in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you do want to include, especially your immediate family, in what you're doing. Like, for me, it was really critical because my house is upside down, right? I'm literally building up my studio and my office in the basement, because with the pandemic, the offices were all over the house because we were all in the house. Was in my bedroom at one point, and then like 3 different office area on the main floor, and it's just kind of messy and confusing. So I really wanted to create an area that was going to be for the development of this dream that would not get in people's way, right? And so it was important that my family understood why I was doing what I was doing, and understood that I really was hopeful for their support. Whether I got it or not, it's okay, but I was hopeful for that support. Now, the last piece of the 3 areas to focus on. So, just to repeat that, guys. So, community for me was really around my mentor, and then family and friends. Okay. Oh, go hard or go back to work is the third option. And the go hard or go back to work is not just about the amount of effort that I'm putting into what I'm doing. It doesn't mean working myself into the ground, doing 14-hour days, not resting, just, that's what I used to think go hard meant. Go hard for me now means go all in. Don't say you're gonna do this thing and not go all in. Go hard means being consistent, right? Showing up when you say you're gonna show up, if you're even showing up for yourself, okay? What it means is starting to do your lives, doing your webinars, even if you're going to be talking to a party of 1. I mean, I remember when I just started doing this as a side hustle, I used to have lives and webinars where there'd be nobody, no persons would come on. It would just be me talking to myself. Maybe that's why I got so good at chatting, because I'm just used to talking to myself. But I kept going. Until I had an audience, until I have now my little email list is growing. I have over 600 subscribers on my little email list. On my YouTube channel, I have over 600 subscribers. I have almost 5,000 subscribers on my Instagram platform. I have subscribers on Facebook. I have over 5,000 subscribers on my LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn group that has over 2,000 women in it. So you start off at 0, like literally, guys, you start off at 0, but you have to start. And then you go hard with it. You don't give up on yourself when you're not seeing after 3 weeks that your numbers are growing. People need the consistency. They need to feel that they can believe that you're going to show up. That's actually what helps YouTube to grow. When I first started my YouTube channel, I was trying to grow it, but I didn't understand the requirement from myself. Or maybe I understood it, but I wasn't ready to commit to it. Now I'm committed to it. I have videos going up every single week, like this one, right? And so my community is there now. I'm gonna start nurturing my comments. I have thousands of views. You know, it's just a little building at a time. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're new to the game, they feel like, it's supposed to just start and everybody will come. Build it and they'll come. No, that's not the way it works. You got to do the work, and you got to go hard at the work. And going hard doesn't mean burning yourself out. It means being strategic, being consistent, and showing up for yourself at the same time that you're showing up for the people that you're meant to serve. And when I say go hard or go back to work, I'm really serious about that. Because if you can't do it for yourself, maybe you can keep doing it at work because that works. Maybe you need additional accountability other than yourself. And I will advise that entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs, live paycheck to paycheck. And if they don't show up on a live, the business dies because they don't actually have a company that is being built. They're just kind of jumping online and doing this for a moment and then they jump off. Or maybe they're doing the influencer thing and they're getting paid because they advertise a product. But if they lose that product contract, their business dies. Right? So going hard requires more than just thinking up an idea and deciding that you're going to become an entrepreneur. It requires more than thinking that you're going to just work all these hours. It's thought, it's strategy, it's consistency, and it's also choosing to bring on support and assistance so that you can build properly. So doing the side hustle route, I did it by myself initially. And then I started to get help here and there. I would have somebody just pop in every now and again to help me. And when I said pop in, meaning I would pay them and then eventually they'd be like, Lord Stacey, I can't, this is too much work. And then they would move on to other greatness. But ultimately, I had the support of another person over a period of time, right? So go hard for me now looks like having a committed team during the 3 to 4 months that I say I'm really going to be consistent at building this. So I have committed to going hard with a team, and that commitment is supposed to really help me to structure myself so that I don't have to go back to work. Plain and simple. It may not work for everybody. And that's a reality that we have to face. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with recognizing that it doesn't work. It may not work for me. Like, I may be like all excited now because I'm just 2 weeks in, like literally guys, I'm 2 weeks into the full time, right? And I'm feeling excitement and I love how I'm serving and I love how much people are coming up to me and saying they're seeing the work I'm doing and all of that is great. But at the end of this 4-month cycle, I may realize, I think I just want to go back to doing corporate work and make money that way. And it's going to be okay if I choose to do that. I'll be sure to let you know if that's what I choose to do. And if not, you'll be sure to know that too. So there's some acceptance that also comes with this going hard. You go hard or you go back to work because you have done it. You have tested it. You have tried it out. You have gone into that arena and you have fought the good fight of doing my own thing and you have come out with a result. For me, I'm actually excited about what that result will look like. I really want what I'm creating to go well. And I really want all of you who are on the same path or thinking about going on the same path to know that it's okay. It's okay. It can go well regardless of which direction you choose to go. You are not a failure. You're not too old. It's not too late. There's lots of possibility available to you. All right. So I'm trusting that you guys got some value out of these 3 areas that I say you should focus on when you're looking to pivot. Your plan to succeed is the first thing. Making sure that you have that community with a mentor and you've enrolled your family and friends. And then you go hard or go back to work. All right. So thanks for listening, guys. Make sure that you are checking out all the different offers that I have available to you on balancedladyboss.com. That's www.balancedladyboss.com. You can also follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast and come back. Lots more to share as I'm on this journey of surrendering to the sweetness of entrepreneurship. Take care until next time.